All right. Hello, everyone. Oh, looks like we are live. Let me check the channel to make sure everything is broadcasting. Yep, I see that red symbol, and now I can see myself. Let me mute up. Okay. As always, I want to thank those of you who liked the stream ahead of time. That's always cool when someone likes the stream ahead of time. That means someone's looking for it. And I do have some regulars over here. So I want to thank you, those of you who are regulars over here. Today is going to be an interesting stream. I don't intend to go long as I do these Friday streams on my lunch break, but I think it's a relevant topic. It it's going to pull together a bunch of different disciplines and areas. We're going to do a little bit of ecology, a little bit of endocrinology, a little bit of, I don't know what the official word for population science is, but I think we're going to do some sociology too. So a bunch of different things are going to come together in this stream. So, and I think many of you, I'm trying, the sun is kind of coming through on me right here from where I'm sitting. So I'm trying to um, position myself so that I'm comfortable and so that I look okay for you guys. I'm not in my on my home turf right now, so that's what's happening. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna take a look at the wild today, and we're gonna talk about a bunch of different things. So I'm going to try to adjust this light, and I'm gonna play my intro, and then I'll see you guys on the other side, and we'll talk about what elephants have taught us and what other mammals may teach humans about ecology and civilization. So I'll see you guys on the other side. Please hit that like button. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel or consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. Uh, every now and then, especially with this channel, the subscribership builds up and then folks slowly bleed off. I don't know if people are unsubbing or if YouTube is doing that. I don't know. But if you're just discovering this channel, please hit that subscription button. Those are free and those help. Now, I don't have any AdSense over here right now. So if you want to donate something, this information is below in the description box and it's here as well. So I'll see you on the other side of my intro. Well, I fixed the light situation. It was just a matter of lowering the shade. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Big Discussions 76, Science and Technology. I think most of you, well, those of you who are watching, you know who I am. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusef Dunbar, and here we discuss science, all parts of it, data, stories, current events. And today is going to be a bit of a science story as it relates to the animal kingdom, the human species, and what other species tell us and what we can learn from other species. First of all, it's Black History Month. Sheet says, remember this experience. So maybe she has heard this story and this parable before. It's Black History Month. So I will at times create Black history related science content over the next month. This is the shortest month of the year, which I think annoys some people because it's the month they picked for Black History Month. But this time last year, I did a live stream on NASA's Black astronauts. And I've been cutting up the stream and uploading pieces onto Facebook and to Twitter and to Instagram because it's important because there are at least 15 to 20 to 25 Black astronauts. We never hear about them. And I'm pretty big on imaging and messaging. And I think that for my community, most of what we hear about are athletes and entertainers and politicians and clergy people and lawyers, and we never hear about our STEM professionals. So I have a short excerpt here. If we're Facebook friends, by the way, I've been careful about who I've been accepting on Facebook because I don't know. There are a lot of guys friend requesting me, and people start tagging you and things, and you don't know what you've been tagged in, and you just don't know. So I've been slow to accept people. So if I haven't accepted you, my apologies. But I shared two of these on Facebook, one yesterday, one today, and this is just a short excerpt on NASA's Black astronauts. This stream is from February of last year, so this is uh, this is discussing two of them. Joan E. Higginbotham was born in Chicago, Illinois. She graduated from Whitney M. Young Magnet High School in Chicago in 1982. She received a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from Southern Illinois University at Carbondale in 1987, a master's degree in management from the Florida Institute of Technology in 1992, and a master's degree in space systems from the Florida Institute of Technology in 1996. Selected as an astronaut in 1996 and flew on the STS-116 in 2006. Okay, guys, this is the last row here. And these next two, I think, are the most highlighted Black astronauts in terms of Black history and in the mainstream media and pop culture. Mae Jemison and Ronald E. McNair. Mae C. Jemison was born October 17th, 1956, in Decatur, Alabama. She graduated from Morgan Park High School in Chicago, Illinois in 1973. She received a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemical Engineering and fulfilled the requirements for a Bachelor of Arts in African and African American Studies from Stanford University in 1977 and a doctorate degree in medicine from Cornell University in 1981. Jemison was selected for the astronaut program in 1987 and was the science mission specialist on STS-47 Space Lab J with over 190 hours in space. So I'm certain you all have heard of her before, Mae Jemison. For that excerpt, I was going to do Ronald E. McNair, but I'm going to give Ronald E. McNair his own excerpt because Ronald E. McNair has a special significance for me. But I think the point of all that is that we never hear about those people. And just if you in that stream, I went over each of them. So I read all of their blurbs, and all of those people are very, very smart, and they're all very, very well accomplished. So particularly black kids, young black kids, they need to hear about those people, in my opinion, all the time. Because number one, they're getting their masters and their PhDs in astronomy and astrophysics and relativity and all these different things. When you read that they were selected for NASA and they were selected to participate in space missions, it's just very, very impressive. But the thing about life is, if you don't know about it as a young person, you don't know that you can do it, and you'll never know that it's there. So all you'll know is that there are entertainers, athletes, lawyers, politicians, civil rights activists, and clergy people. Well, where are the STEM professionals? Well, they're there. It's just not everybody talks about them all the time. And I think imaging and messaging matter. Okay, so today's stream, male, elder male elephants and younger male elephants. This, a lot of times when I do these streams, things kind of coalesce. I think about things all the time, but I'm also watching videos on various subjects, and the light bulb just turns on, and I say, well, oh yeah, it'll be cool to do a video or a stream about that. So before I hop in, let's talk about science. Let's review what science is. And as before I put this slide up, I just want to say that YouTube, one of the strengths of YouTube and one of the good things about YouTube is that information, well, assuming you stay within the guidelines, but there's information presented here on YouTube. There are facts and data and principles that are presented here on YouTube that aren't presented in the mainstream media. They're not presented by the political class. They're not presented by anyone else. So some of the things that are talked about, people look and they say, why are you talking about that? Why do you care about that? And then some of the things that are talked about here on YouTube alarm people who haven't heard of them before. So there's a lot shared here, whether it's climate, whether it's the current state of society, whether it's passports, whether it's gender, whether it's our banking system, whatever. There are a lot of things discussed here that aren't being discussed anywhere else. And it alarms some people. So science, what is science? On that vein there, on that theme there, what is science? I showed this slide last week when I talked about the dynamics of the climate debate. Science is asking why. Science is considering alternative hypotheses. It's having flexibility of mind. It's generating hard data. It's not believing things blindly. It involves peer review of data, and it involves thinking critically and questioning things. Okay. If I could add on to that list, I would say that it also involves observation. It involves looking at natural phenomenon. It could be something related to the planet. It could be something related to outer space. It could be looking at a uh, other species on the planet, because humans are not the only living things here on the planet. So much of science involves observation, 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 observation. So where did this string come from? So I watch a lot of things. one of my heroes, and those of you who are subscribed to my newsletter, you saw this. One of my heroes, I just rediscovered him over the holiday, is author, speaker, and podcaster Malcolm Gladwell. So I've started watching Malcolm's content again, and Malcolm writes about numerous things lately. He's been talking about strong link societies versus weak link societies. But there's a podcast, an interview that I left below where he's talking about strong link societies and weak link societies. And in that, I believe it's that talk, he discusses how it's called what can Gen Z expect? What world can they expect? And one of the things he talks about is he talks about data from ballpark about 20 years ago that was measuring the relative happiness of people then versus people now. And he states that the overall level of happiness has flipped. So there's a huge population of our country that are just unhappy every day and with life and with the current circumstances. I also recently watched a video uh, where a woman named Mary Eberstadt was interviewed. It's a controversial title. It'll probably offend somebody. It was entitled "The Sexual Revolution Was a Mistake." Okay. Malcolm's podcast interview was called "What World Awaits Gen Z." Okay. So Mary Eberstadt, in her stream, she's an older white, maybe Jewish woman, I think. But she brought up the elephant experiments, the elephant story, and what that tells us about family and what it tells us about how young men are reared and how a balance is achieved, how balances are achieved in families and in society. So I've heard of this elephant parable and this elephant story before, and I decided to cover it. I decided to cover it. So I'm going to present three short pieces on that. Now, having a science channel, one of the goals of science is also, well, what you should do when you're being scientific is you should be having a level of objectivity. So I'm gonna just attempt to present this information. I'm not gonna try to slant it one way or the other, but just keep this, and the links for these three articles will be below in the description box. But just as you're moving throughout society, as you're moving throughout your day, as you're having conversations with family members, significant others, co-workers, and as elected officials are hoping to seduce us for votes, keep this information in mind. Think about what the natural, think about nature, think about what the natural order of things is versus what our Western human societies are evolving to. There are some very, very good things about what our Western societies are evolving to, and then there are some head scratchers as well. But think about these things and keep these things in the back of your mind because knowledge is power. Okay, so what's my next jumping off point? So I'm going to review two vocabulary words and principles before I hop in. The first one is ecology. Ecology. So ecology is the study of how living organisms fit together. So you're looking at food chains, you're looking at population sizes, you're looking at dynamics within specific populations and within specific species. And if you've taken an ecology class, you know that taking one species out can throw the entire taking one species out can throw the entire ecosystem out of balance. So everything in nature is most everything in nature is about balance. Okay, so we're going to talk about ecology today and what happens when there are no adult male elephants around. Oh, I remember the other inspiration for this stream was something very, very controversial that Judge Joe Brown said. Be careful on social media. Be careful who you retweet. Be careful what you retweet, because Judge Joe Brown, he's running for the mayor of Memphis, his hometown of Memphis, and he made some comments a couple of months ago about what would happen to the female mayor or the female candidate that he's running against. And he basically said in some of the neighborhoods in Memphis, she would suffer the R word. I'm not going to say the R word here on YouTube because I think that word is illegal. And it was very, very controversial. I'm not sure I would have said it that way, but I had to take a look. I had to take a step back and say, okay, what was he trying to say? And one of Judge Joe Brown's major talking points is masculinity, and that the black many black communities and many think tanks and writers and lecturers are they would argue that with in the larger United States society, there's a male problem and a boy crisis, and it's a bigger thing. But Judge Joe Brown, he was talking about, and he talks about the need for masculinity to come back and the importance of both genders. So I think that's what he was getting at. So the question is, do you need for community, for family, and for society? Do you need both genders? And what happens when one is missing? Okay, regardless of why the other one is missing, what happens when the other one is missing? So that was the other inspiration for this stream. I'm not saying, yeah, I feel like I know what he was trying to say, and I think I'll stop that there. Okay, so we talked about ecology. Now, what's a mammal? Let's talk about mammals. Let's revisit what. Let's go back to biology 101 and let's review the principle of what a mammal is. If you're just coming in, please hit that like button. The likes are free and they help with the engagement. T Riddler's here. I don't know if Sheet is still here. Whoever is here, let's do some science trivia. What is a mammal? What is a mammal? Who remembers? And I first learned this in elementary school. I'm sure that educational standards have changed over the years, and educational standards are not the same in every district and in every state. So maybe you all never learned this, but I learned this at an early age. What's a mammal? Anybody? Can anybody tell me and tell us what a mammal is? Let me know right there in the chat. Very, very basic biology. Anybody? What is a mammal? And there's a reason I'm asking this. Anybody? Akuteki, you're that student in the class. When I was at J.C. Smith, my HBCU, I started excelling academically, and I started raising my hand every time the teacher asked something, and the teacher had to tell me, someone besides Mr. Dunbar, Mr. Dunbar, be quiet. We want someone else to answer. So Aquateki, you're kind of that student in the class. So Aquateki, that's right. And T Riddler, got some smart folks. I got some smart folks here. Aquateki says warm-blooded, has hair, females produce milk. Yep. T Riddler says warm-blooded lactates, has a womb in which offspring incubate. Mother Twerks didn't even talk to the. Wow, that's quite a name. I'm not. I don't know if. Oh, geez. That avatar. So, so yeah, Aquateki and T. Riddler had it. So a mammal grows hair, produces milk for their young, and mammals are warm blooded. So right there in that picture, you see uh, an elephant, you see a kangaroo, a koala bear, an aardvark, a gorilla, so primates, a giraffe. I think there's a hog there. What else? A black bear, porcupine, a rabbit, and even a whale. Even whales are mammals. Whales are not fish. I believe dolphins are not fish either. Sharks are fish, but whales are mammals. So there was a primate there, and guess what? Humans are mammals too. We have hair, we're warm blooded, and during the reproductive cycle, our women, our females, geez, what pronouns can we use today? Birthing people, birthing people, whether they choose to feed their young that way or not, birthing people generate milk for their young. So humans are mammals. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because one of the things you do, or one of the things scientists do, is you look across other species and how other species behave sometimes gives insights to, well, in this case, our species, Homo sapiens. Okay. So when you're talking about sociology, when you're talking about societal ills such as crime and broken families and unemployment and high incarceration, depending upon which channel you're watching, the elephant, the bull male elephant experiments, that often comes up as a model for things that we're seeing in Western human societies, particularly the United States. So I have 3 links here. They're very short. I think I'm gonna make an attempt to power through 2 of them. Now, before I hop in here, well, I'll talk about my book afterwards because this is a having a male presence and not having a male presence around is a key theme for my book project. So um, let me start with this piece right here. These are not long, everyone, so I'm not going to be reading to you all the entire afternoon. But again, keep this information in mind. All right, when you're moving throughout your week and moving throughout the course of your life. Okay, Chrome. This one is entitled Bear. I like this view now more than the others. This one is entitled In the Absence of Fathers, A Story of Elephants and Men. Let's see. T. Riddler says, are birds mammals or reptiles? I don't think I don't think avians are mammals, T. Riddler. I don't think they are. They lay eggs. They don't incubate. They don't incubate their young within them for a number of weeks or months. I think they lay those eggs. They keep the eggs warm, but I don't think avians are mammals. So we're doing some zoology today too. I forgot that one. This is some zoology as well. Everyone, if you want to make a donation to the channel, that information is here. You're under no pressure to do so, but those are always welcome. Okay. In the absence of fathers, a story of elephants and men. Okay. Are committed fathers an endangered species in our culture? Father Gordon McRae draws a troubling corollary between absent fathers and burgeoning prisons. Okay. Wade Horn, PhD, president of the Natural Fatherhood Initiative, had an intriguing article entitled "Of Elephants and Men" in a recent issue. Everyone, give me a second here. Let me see if this is one of the pieces I wanted to read. 'Cause I don't want to. I don't know that this is one of them. One of the ones I wanted to read. So I'm going to go to this one instead. Sorry about that. This one is entitled, "What Do Bull Elephants and 14-Year-Old Boys Have in Common?" Okay. There's the thumbnail for the stream. Within a 5-year period in the 1990s, in a game reserve in South Africa, young male elephants killed more than 60 rhinoceroses, and in some cases tried to mount them. This was a highly unusual level of aggression for adolescent male elephants. What was revealed was these adolescent elephants, which were committing such acts of aggression, had been orphaned. Their fathers were killed under government sanctions to keep the elephant numbers under control. Young adolescent elephants normally go through a troublesome and violent period. Male elephants, also called bull elephants, experience a phase called must, which in Persia means madness or intoxication. Does this sound like any teenage boy you know? It is a period where the testosterone levels of bull elephants increase up to 60 times greater than other times. The must cycle usually lasts only a few days, but among fatherless elephants, it has somehow become curiously long. Their behavior would become increasingly violent. The young male would walk around the jungle alone looking for trouble. They would kill rhinos, piercing them with their tusks. They weren't acting like elephants, as they didn't know what an elephant was supposed to do with all his energy and muscle. That gets to an important question, everyone, and it's something I've grappled with throughout my life, and it's something I'm still confronted with today. Uh, what is manhood? Is it something that's innate that you're just supposed to know to do, or is it something that's taught and passed on? Okay, the things that men are expected to do, masculinity, all those things, are they innate? Are you just supposed to know how to do them? Or are they taught and passed on? Let me know what you think there in the chat, because that's what that text just implied. Prior to their fathers being culled, young adolescent male elephants would often follow order. Sexually active males around. I'm sorry, let me read that again. Prior to their fathers being culled, that's a fancy word for separated off. Young adolescent male elephants would often follow older, sexually active males around, studying what they should do. But now these youngsters had no such role models. It's very fascinating, isn't it? Going back to the human race, at around 14 years of age, boys receive an 800% increase in testosterone in their body. This dynamic juice is the principal male sex hormone and is secreted in the testicles of males. Interestingly, a study on the data conducted by the Hopeful Institute found 14 year olds in Australia are the most likely to be proceeded against by police for sexual assault, with the proportion decreasing in every year after that. At the game reserve in Africa, in an attempt to curb the violent behavior of the junior elephants, they introduced 6 older bull elephants into the population of about 85 elephants. Immediately, the aberrant behavior and prolonged hormonal changes abruptly came to a stop. Okay, that sounds eerily similar. For those of you who know the nameless protagonist, that sounds eerily similar to something he talks about all the time. So they introduced, so the environment was one way, okay? The young male elephants were experiencing a certain hormonal dynamic, right? And for those of you who know how hormones work, hormones bind DNA. So you change the environment, you introduce these bull male elephants, and you change the environment, and all of a sudden the behavior changes. It's very, very interesting. Do you all know the word that the nameless protagonist uses quite often? And the principle is that the environment can impact the genetics and the biology. Does anyone know the word I'm thinking about? I'll give you a hint. It begins. Yep, there you go. Aquateki. See, you gotta be quiet. I'm joking, Aquateki. No, I appreciate this. It's epigenetics, right? So I think this is an example of an epigenetic phenomena. The environment was one way. The environment changed. Sorry. The environment was one way. The young male elephants were acting a certain way. You change the environment, boom. Now their behavior has altered. Agoteki says youth must be taught. I think you're referring to manhood and masculinity and those things. Yep, must be taught. The one thing that does operate on natural instinct is the fight or flight response. I agree with that. And everything else, a lot of everything else, it needs to be passed on, in my opinion. And not everybody agrees with that. Everyone doesn't agree. Some people feel like, well, there is the opinion that you're in this one gender role, so you should just know what to do. Okay. Our young men need mentors, father figures, and coaches to help guide them and assist them to understand what being a real man is about. But we also need young men who are willing to listen and be coached. Sadly, some young people only consider people their own age worth listening to. Manliness in ancient Greek and Roman culture was not just about physical strength and courage. Being a man also meant being virtuous, developing character traits such as respect, kindness, empathy, and courage, not just physical courage, but moral and intellectual courage. The ability to stand up for your beliefs or for a cause. If you developed these virtues, you were given the title of being a man. You weren't just born a man, you had to become one through virtuous living. Okay. In almost all cultures, men are not born, they are made. Cultures have always traditionally demanded initiation rites specifically for boys. For girls going through menstruation and childbirth, are enough for young girls to mature um, and to be initiated into womanhood. But young men must be tried, challenged, and goaded into maturity. All cultures have embraced this initiating of young men except the modern West. No man can be everything to his son, but we can surround our sons with honorable men in the form of coaches, teachers, real or fictional heroes, spiritual giants, and historical protagonists. Men worthy to be emulated for virtuous behavior so they can learn manliness through the wisdom of those gone before them and adjacent to them as a society. We need to bring the elders back to the herd. Okay. There were some typos in that one, but this link is below in the description box. I have one more that's short that I'm going to go over, and then I'm going to wrap up in the next 20 minutes. So that's one of the other concerns about modern society is that the rites of passage for young men, there are no more. So there's no line of delineation and there are no basic attributes that are being imparted across the board on young men. And so you get older, but there's no code, there are expectations to be certain things and to know to do certain things and to behave in certain ways. But if the training isn't there, then you won't necessarily get the results. You won't necessarily get the desired results. Okay. Okay. One more. Let me see. Does this link even apply? Let's see. Yeah, I'll read this one. Let me cue this up. I think it's going in a slightly different direction, but it's still in the same ballpark. And everyone, let me know what you think there in the chat. Is this something you already knew? I mean, is this uh, are you learning something here? Let me know. Or do you think this is baloney? Do you think this is valid? Let me know what you think there in the chat. Okay. Secrets of Male Elephant Society revealed in the wild. Okay. This is written by Helen Briggs, a BBC environment correspondent. In this picture, shows male elephants congregating at the Botiti River. I think I know what this article is going to say. I haven't read it ahead of time. I think I know where this is going, but let's see what we have here. In bold, it says older male elephants have an important role to play in the survival of the species by passing on their skills and knowledge to younger males, a study of African elephants suggests. Matriarchs lead groups of daughters and their calves while males grow up and leave the herd. Mature bull elephants play an important role in leading these younger males, researchers have found, and their loss by poaching or hunting could have disastrous impacts. The study published in the journal Scientific Reports suggests older bulls are likely to occupy a similar role in male society as matriarchs in female breeding herds. It has long been known that older females make more effective leaders of breeding herds due to their enhanced experience. We provide compelling support for a similar role of older males in the male society, said Connie Allen of the University of Exeter, and Charity Elephants for Africa. There's a young male and an older male. The researchers investigated the behavior of more than 1,250 male African savanna elephants traveling to and from the Botiti River in, oh geez, Makda Dikgati Hans National Park in Botswana. Lone male elephants accounted for a fifth of sightings of elephants' pathways using camera traps, with adolescent males traveling along these routes less often than expected, suggesting lone travel is riskier for younger and less experienced males. Mature adult bulls were more likely to travel at the front of the groups of males, suggesting they may be important leaders with valuable ecological knowledge. So, survival secrets. The idea that lone older males do little for the survival of the species has been used as an argument to support the legal trophy hunting of old males. However, the new research suggests that killing older males could have disastrous consequences in removing key figures in male elephant society. The oldest bulls, with potentially decades more experience of utilizing the environment and navigating crucial resources in our study, were more likely to lead all male groups, said Connie Allen. This suggests younger, newly independent adolescent males target these individuals for their heightened social and ecological knowledge. Removing these rare key individuals could have disastrous impacts on the wider bull population and lead to major disruption in the intergenerational flow of information in this long-lived species. Males were long thought to be largely solitary animals after gaining independence and leaving their family group, but there is growing evidence that males, as well as females, live rich social lives. This has been harder to study in male elephants, which roam large distances and are more difficult to track. Professor Darren Croft of the University of Exeter said the new work highlighted that older male elephants might act as repositories for ecological knowledge, such as when and where to find food and water, which may in turn provide survival benefits for the younger males who associate with them. These findings raise concern over the removal of old males from elephant populations by trophy hunting and illegal poaching and point to the need to protect old male elephants, he said. The sudden deaths of more than 275 elephants in northern Botswana made, made headlines earlier this year. Tests have proved inconclusive, with a range of factors blamed for this mass die-off, including natural toxins. More than 20 elephants have died in neighboring Zimbabwe from a suspected bacterial infection or stress of walking long distances for food and water. In both cases, poaching has been ruled out. Okay, so in this piece, they didn't make a direct correlation to humans like the other piece did, but the elephants are classically used as a parallel to human society. Let me see how long this other piece is. I might squeeze this other one in. I just don't want to, I don't know that it's good for the audience, for the content creator to just keep reading and reading and reading. If you haven't, please hit that like button. The likes are free. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you want to make a donation, that information is below in the description box. Let's see. Okay, how long is this? Everyone, bear with me for a moment here. Just bear with me. Okay, I'm coming up on an hour. If I need to revisit this, I'll. She made a joke. He said, Akateki said, in either case, sons need their fathers or a mentor of some sort. Could be an uncle, could be someone else. She'd said, need a commercial break video. Just like, yeah, Crimson. No, I'm not going to read that piece. I'm just going to wrap up. I'm at 52 minutes, and I like to do this within my lunch break. All right, everyone. That's all I'm gonna present today. The other reason this stood out to me is that this is a major theme of my book. And shout out to Sheed for announcing on his channel or sharing on his channel that I do a lot of writing. I appreciate that. But one of the themes of my story, this is below in the description box as well. One of the themes of the story is that when I was going through this journey, learning to play ball, there weren't, due to circumstance, there weren't a lot of men around in my circle. And in my opinion, that affected the outcome of my journey because when you're a young person, just like with the elephants, when you're a young person and you're setting out into the world, it helps to have mentors and guides there. So this is something I've experienced myself, and I think a lot of other young men have experienced this as well. Now, I did have a good home to grow up in. I'm not saying I didn't have a loving home with warm meals and clothes to wear. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that everybody can't do everything. Everybody can't do everything. And there's a special role, I think, across all mammalian species, but in this case, humans, there's a special role, an important role for male role models and figures in general, and when it comes to specific activities. That's my experience. So everyone, I'm going to wrap this stream up. She said, need a little mind break. Yeah, that's she what's cool is when you do streams and you have panels, when you're the host, once your other panelists come up and the conversation starts going, you can kind of go on cruise control for a little while. But when you're the presenter and you're giving the talk, you're doing all the work all the time. So yeah. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to donate something, that information is here. Sheet says the video I saw with a lot of young elephants going wild through the land bull. A bull came to check them. Yeah, I mean that's what's, especially for a lot of inner city communities. This is what you're hearing about a lot of inner city communities. There are no older males around. There's no order. So things are just running wild and running out of control. And I know that I'm going to mention his name again. I know that Judge Joe Brown's words were offensive to some people. I think that's part of his underlying message is that to get a lot of this stuff under control, you need more male leadership back in the communities. So, and it, and what he said, it wasn't the most articulate, and I can see where it offended some people, but I think that's where he was going with that. Okay, please like, share, and subscribe. Especially if you're new to the channel, if you want to donate something to the channel, this information is here and it's in the description box. And everyone, please consider joining my newsletter. Thank you to those of you who joined. I just sent the January was a very, very busy month. And I sent the January newsletter out literally on January 31st. So I went right down to the wire. So there's a 2-paragraph greeting. And then you just click that subscribe button there at the bottom. And it takes you to that sign up sheet. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. And everyone stay safe out there. Enjoy your weekend. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. And always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.